Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to completely unpack a word that gets thrown around all the time, everywhere we go, but honestly, we rarely stop to actually define it. We're diving into the true meaning of development. We're going to break down exactly what progress looks like, how we actually measure it, and how it impacts our day-to-day lives. I am super excited to guide you through this analysis, so let's just jump right in. So, what does development actually mean to you? Seriously, take a second and think about it. If I asked 10 different people watching this, I'd probably get 10 totally different answers, right? Some of you might instantly picture massive infrastructure, building modern roads, high-speed railways, skyscrapers reaching the clouds. Others might think about making more money, scoring that dream job, or finally having access to state-of-the-art hospitals and schools. The fascinating thing here is that we all have our own highly personal definitions of what progress actually looks like. Okay, here's our roadmap for today. First, defining development and goals. Second, the limitations of money. Third, measuring national progress. Fourth, income versus real life. Fifth, human development and health. And finally, sustaining our future. All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, defining development and goals. To really understand the complex stuff later, we absolutely need to nail down our essential definitions first. At its absolute core, development is just the betterment of anything from its previous state. That's literally it. But how that betterment plays out? Well, that depends entirely on who you're asking. Think about a farmer. His primary developmental goal is probably getting the highest possible price for his crops. But what about a day laborer working on that exact same farm? His goal is getting the highest possible daily wage. A young professional might just want a new car, while an artist wants the freedom to create. The key takeaway here is that different people have entirely different developmental goals based on their unique circumstances. And honestly, this is where things can get a bit messy. Take the construction of a massive river dam, for example. For folks living in the city, it's amazing. It brings incredible benefits like abundant electricity, a consistent water supply, and industrial growth. But for tribal populations and local villagers living near the river, that exact same project means displacement. It means the loss of ancestral land and the total destruction of their livelihoods. Development is almost never a win-win for absolutely everyone. It very often involves deeply conflicting goals. Moving on to Section 2, the limitations of money. So, everyone wants more money, right? Notice how our desires essentially split into two distinct buckets. On one side, we have materialistic goals. These are the things you can literally buy with cash. Money, cars, houses, all those luxury items. But on the other side, we have non-materialistic goals, things like equality, freedom, friendship, respect, and security. Let's do a quick thought experiment. Imagine you're offered a job in a foreign country. The salary's unbelievable. You'd be richer than you ever dreamed. But in this new place, you face severe discrimination. You have zero job security, no true friends, and people treat you with absolutely no respect. Despite that massive paycheck, would you actually feel developed? Most of us would say absolutely not. Because for true holistic development, humans require both material and non-material fulfillment. Money alone just doesn't cut it. All right, Section 3, measuring national progress. So we've looked at personal goals, but how do we measure the progress of an entire nation? When economists want a quick snapshot of a country's wealth, they almost always default to this formula: per capita income. It is simply the average amount of money earned per person in a nation per year. You just take the country's total income and divide it by the total population. Let's make this super simple. Imagine a tiny country with exactly 4 citizens. They earn 4 rupees, 5 rupees, 3 rupees, and 4 rupees. Add that all up and the country's total income is 16 rupees. Divide that by the population of 4 and your per capita income is 4 rupees. It's just a neat, straightforward mathematical average. Now, organizations like the World Bank rely heavily on this exact metric to categorize the globe. If a country's per capita income is $12,056 or more, boom, you're a rich country. If it's $995 or less, you are a poor country. And sitting right there in the middle, we have India at roughly $1,820, which lands it squarely in the low-middle income category. The World Bank generally assumes that rich countries are the developed ones. But hey, remember our thought experiment about that high-paying job abroad? Does being a rich country automatically guarantee a good life for its citizens? Let's test that theory in Section 4, income versus real life. Let's challenge that purely financial view by bringing it down to a state-by-state comparison within India. When we compare these 3 states purely by income, the hierarchy is pretty obvious. Haryana is sitting pretty at the top with the highest per capita income. Kerala is trailing behind in the middle, and Bihar is at the bottom. Based strictly on this financial data, Haryana looks like the undisputed champion of development, right? But wait, here's the plot twist. When we look at the infant mortality rate, which is the number of children per 1,000 live births who tragically die before reaching their first birthday, the story completely flips. Look at Haryana, our supposed income champion. Their rate is 30. Now look at Kerala, the state with less money. Their rate is only 10. Kerala absolutely crushes Haryana in keeping infants alive. And it doesn't stop there. If we look at literacy, Kerala sits at a massive 94% compared to Haryana's 82%. So suddenly, income alone really doesn't seem like the ultimate metric for success anymore, does it? I want you to really let this thought sink in for a second. Money in your pocket cannot buy all the goods and services that you may need to live well. It's incredibly profound when you think about it. Your personal wealth cannot buy a pollution-free environment for you to breathe in. A stack of cash cannot single-handedly protect you from a contagious infectious disease spreading through your neighborhood. At the end of the day, your money relies on the environment and the society around you functioning well. Which brings us perfectly to Section 5, Human Development and Health. So if money can't buy everything, how do we fill in the gaps? This is where the government has to step in to provide what we call essential public facilities. For a society to truly develop, all citizens must have access to some basic foundations. We're talking about universal education, accessible healthcare, societal security, and a reliable food supply, like a well-functioning public distribution system that ensures proper nutrition for everyone, literally regardless of their bank account. The quality of these facilities directly dictates the true quality of life in any given area. And the cool thing is, we can actually measure the physical impact of these facilities, especially when it comes to nutrition. Body mass index, or BMI, is a great indicator of a population's health status. You can actually calculate this right now. It's a super simple 3-step formula. First, measure a person's weight in kilograms. Second, take their height in meters and square it. Finally, divide the weight by that squared height. So if someone weighs 120 kilograms and is 2 meters tall, you square the 2 to get 4. Divide 120 by 4, and their BMI is 30. Generally speaking, a BMI under 18 means someone is undernourished. Between 18 and 25 is fit and healthy. Anything over 25, like our example of 30, indicates being overweight. Monitoring this helps nations see if their food distribution and health education are actually working on the ground. Because health and education are so vital, the United Nations Development Program created a metric that is far better than the World Bank's income-only approach. It's called the Human Development Index, or HDI. This is a real game changer because it combines per capita income, educational levels, and life expectancy all into one comprehensive score. Take a look at that number, 131. Out of the entire world, that was India's rank on the 2019 Human Development Index. By blending wealth with health and knowledge, the HDI gives us a much more accurate, truly human-centric picture of a nation's progress. Finally, we reach Section 6, Sustaining Our Future. This is the critical, final piece of the development puzzle, time. Right now, our rapid push for development is, frankly, causing a timeline of disaster. We are relentlessly depleting groundwater and burning fossil fuels, causing immense environmental damage. Just look at this timeline. If we project forward, reports suggest that within 50 to 60 years, at our current rate of consumption, the world's crude oil reserves could be completely exhausted, literally gone. We are essentially stealing resources from our children and grandchildren just to fuel our present-day growth. And that brings us to the absolutely vital concept of sustainable development, the idea that we must grow today without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Which leaves us with this final, provocative thought to wrap up our explainer today. If our development destroys tomorrow, are we truly developing today? It really forces us to rethink everything we've just discussed. True development can't just be a high GDP or a massive skyline filled with skyscrapers. It must be holistic. It must actively improve human well-being, and above all, it has to be sustainable. I really hope this deep dive has completely shifted how you view the progress of our world. Keep questioning the things around you, and thanks so much for joining me on this journey.